Hello to everyone, Vladimir Vladek, the Bulgarian Cowboy, and we are now going to talk about the upcoming fight between Matt Frevola and Ferenc Camacho. Let me see which way is this going to go, because right now I'm pretty much thinking that this fight might go. This fight might be interesting, For some reasons, it might be interesting. From the other reasons, I don't know, guys. This fight is put into the preliminary card, which I believe might be a bit unfair, but alright, such things happened. But let's talk now. Matt Frevola, riding a score of 8 wins, 1 loss, 1 draw. Very, very, well, I like to call him very powerful fighter, very skillful, very powerful. He didn't have many fights under his belt, but when it comes to submission game, he is just awesome. At WSOF, that triangle armbar versus Josh Zuckerman, man, he really showed some great submission skills. The guy is a real submission expert. He won the contracted Dana White's Tuesday Night Contender Series 8, where he arm triangled Jose Flores. Then in the UFC, lost to Paul Reyes, fought to a draw against Lando Venata, and bounced back with 2 wins over Jalen Turner and Luis Pena. When it comes to Frank Camacho, well, it's an interesting fact. Frank Camacho, brown belt in BJJ, the guy who won gold medal at World Jiu-Jitsu Championship in 2010. 22 wins, 8 losses, very powerful fighter. And he has the moniker, the Crank, and it's kind of interesting moniker, I like this moniker actually. And to be honest, Frank is also very good when it comes to BJJ. He fought many guys and defeated many guys via BJJ, like for example Javon Kim before arrival to the UFC. But the truth is that Frank fights more via strikes. He's a striker. He is predominantly a striker than BJJ guy, despite he has so many lovely achievements in BJJ. He is predominantly a striker, and he only has 2 submission wins. Majority of his wins came via knockout, and he is the guy who takes you down to the ground and mauls you until you can't fire back. He is the former PXC lightweight champion. And when we look back at his records, he likes to take his opponent down and strike on the bottom. He is a master of striking on the ground. When it comes to Matt Frevola, he is a submission expert. He rarely goes for a knockout, which might mean Frank Camacho should have the advantage in the stand-up, In the stand-up, he should be a better fighter, Frank Camacho. But on the other side, if you take Matt Frevola down, well, it's not a good way to go. Frank Camacho has very good BJJ skills. I believe he would be able to stop Matt Frevola's submission attempts. So this will be the fight of 2, kind of different fighters. Matt Frevola has very good submission game, but when it comes to stamina, his stamina is very good. He likes to dominate, and here we see a bit problem. Frank Camacho has slightly weaker stamina, which means if the fight goes to the later rounds, Matt Frevola should outwork him. On the other side, Frank Camacho has better punches, which is also okay. Good punches are also vital for good fighting, for good match. After a knockout to Geoff Neal, after he suffered a knockout loss, I kind of changed a bit thoughts on Frank Camacho. And Frank Camacho has 2 wins, 4 losses in the UFC. Losses to Geoff Neal, Drew Dober, Li Jingliang, and Benel Dariush. Victories over Nick Hine and Damian Brown. On the other side, Matt Frevola is riding a score of 2-1-1. Right now, Frank Camacho has to win this fight, otherwise he might get sacked from the UFC, He might get released. So, right now, I believe the only good way for Frank Camacho would be a win, and I hope the fight is not going to last for 3 rounds, because that's the area where Matt Frevola dominates. So, I give slight advantage to Frank Camacho, and I hope he will finish this via stoppage. The other potential outcome is victory for Matt Frevola via submission or decision. And let's see which way is this going to go.